Hello, listener. So nice to have you here with us. We got Jon and Emily here for their first bit. I think it's going to be our first bit. Hopefully we will have a second bit with Bill and Elena. But we are playing Downfall, which is a strictly 3-player role-playing game. That's why we had to kind of cut some people out. I get the fortunate... I get to play, fortunately, twice with both sets. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if it's going to be fortunate.
I think we're the test play.
That's true. That's true. So Downfall was written by Caroline Hobbs, art by Audrey Gibson and Caroline Hobbs, edited by Mark Hobbs and Ben Robbins. This game has been out for a while. Looks like the first edition 2015. And I've played it a couple times in the past, a number of years ago, and really enjoyed it. I think the immediate comparison that maybe some listeners would be familiar with is to Fiasco, the role-playing game, which we did get the chance to play with Chris Whitpan. We played the paranoia version of Fiasco, right, on his stream.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was a long time ago, but very fun.
Man, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So this is something, a system kind of similar. Collectively, the three of us will be creating the world, which we live in what's called the Haven. And the Haven has a flaw that permeates every aspect of its culture and traditions, as you will see once we get into actually building the world. And the Haven is destined to collapse. It's unavoidable. Our hero is, of course, going to try their damnedest to prevent that collapse, but the Fallen is going to do their best to facilitate the flaw and the flaw's effect upon the Haven and the world. The third character that we will be building is called the Pillar. They kind of represent just your everyday citizen, inhabitant of the Haven, and they're either kind of oblivious to the effects of flaws going on, or they just don't care. They're complacent, perhaps, in their role in the Haven itself. They don't do anything to either aid the Haven's collapse or hinder it, really. They're kind of this neutral party. So we will be creating and naming these three characters and giving them relationships to the hero specifically. But each of us will be assuming the role of those three characters. So we're each going to get a chance to take on the hero's role and kind of role play from the hero's perspective. And the same, of course, goes for the Fallen and the Pillar. So why don't we just get right into creation, and we can, as we're creating, we're not going to give a rules dump. We'll just get into it and explain it as we're going. I think there's a little intro paragraph here for the book. Our home is breaking and we have no one to blame but ourselves. We built a flawed society and soon it will destroy itself. Though most of us can't perceive the coming doom, a hero arises to fight against the impending collapse. Downfall is the story of how we try to save our society and ourselves and fail.
Okay.
If we're in person, it recommends having a number of index cards because there's some information. Again, it's all shared information, and we're all going to have an opportunity to influence the information that we're going to decide. But obviously, we record our podcast remotely, so we're all just kind of have to take nice detailed notes.
We're not going to use email?
Well, I was thinking snail mail, so I'll fill up my index card.
Oh, okay.
I'll put it in the post.
Well, we all know sending you stuff takes months. So. So this game will go about as fast as the one that I ran. Archmage.
That took us about as long to record as Archmage did.
we could have did that by mail.
Okay, so first we start by defining the flaw, which again is the cause of the destruction of the Haven. It is a human trait that we'll see expressed through the culture of our Haven and is the philosophical foundation upon which the Haven was built. The flaw is the core theme of our game.
Okay.
The book gives in every section of which we're building, it gives a number of examples which we are certainly free to choose from, or if we want to deviate from the suggested list of examples, we, again, absolutely can. I'm not... I don't have any, opinion for or against any of what's listed as the examples.
So it says this is what the society was built on.
Yes, that is the thing. So the flaw is what basically helped found the Haven, and it's like characteristics and themes are what shaped the Haven to what it is. But I think now, like, the Haven, it's getting to a point of collapse, right? Where we've gotten almost like this point of no return, where everything that was good about the flaw has been used up, and now everything that's bad about it is starting to backpile on us, and event is finally catching up to the Haven.
Corrupted.
Yeah, because some of the examples are like cowardice and jealousy, and saying that it's not what you would found a city or a something on, but that's what the ramifications of what it was originally set up to be.
I think in, like, maybe the example of cowardice, perhaps the Haven was created because of its founders fleeing something, fleeing a war, okay, or a certain territory, perhaps, that maybe the person coming to this Haven, to our Haven, was already seen the collapse of another Haven, and they fled it before it really got bad. So I think that's how you would play on stuff like that. I mean, another example is selfishness. That could be somebody establishing this city. Maybe it's a place of trade that they're just going to reap all of the monetary gains from doing so, right? And obviously that comes with its own downside too, which we can very easily play into. So yeah, you're right. It's almost like antithetical seeming, right? When you look at some of these lists, like they have jealousy, loyalty, materialism, nationalism, etc. Like there's a wide range of positive and negative kind of adjectives in this list.
Yeah, so when I was thinking about it earlier, I was thinking more like a futuristic type of thing where people want AI or robots or whatever to take care of them. They don't have to. They live a life of luxury. So maybe that in this case it would be freedom of being able to do whatever you want, luxury life or whatever, free of work.
It could be something as simple as automation then.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so now is where you would write automation in the middle of one of your index cards.
Done.
I did it, but I can't read it because I have terrible writing on
it. So, okay, automation is our flaw. I think that's a cool flaw because that really does make sense on how you would build a city or a society, right, through this automation.
Yeah, advancement of technology for your own leisure.
Okay, so now is when we describe the Haven. So that we do this by choosing what they call elements. So each of us contributes one element that will inspire the setting. These elements are the foundation of the world that we'll create. So secretly choose one of the elements from the list below. So we are restricted to this list.
It says or make your own.
Shh, haven't got that far. After we've individually chosen our elements, we will share them and we'll share them with each other. Well, technically, or make your own is on the list. So you're still using a selection from the list, Emily.
That is
just
true.
Splitting hairs.
Jeez, oh, Pete's. I'm putting H's back on my O's.
Your oohs. If it was an O, an O comes with an H. Ooh does not. Okay, well, feel free to make the selection of or make your own from this list, which we must adhere to very strictly, Emily.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You got to clarify stuff with her for sure.
I feel ganged up on already.
All right. I know what mine is.
I know what mine is.
I have mine.
So, it looks like this element, there's a lot of different things listed in the list here, like air, blood, cave, grave, rain, things like that. I thought to stand with our Icelandic friends, I would choose volcanic.
Okay.
Where do we rate that?
So that now goes on your index card right below the flaw.
Okay.
Emily, what did you go with?
I chose or make your own.
Well, that's a weird flaw, a weird element.
Ah, let me write that down.
Modern. Like all cubes and, blank-faced buildings and all just big, tall skyscraper type things. Like a modern city kind of thing.
Okay, I gotcha. Mine was gravity. And it does recommend to don't change your mind after you've seen the other elements. A surprising combination is part of the fun. So we are going to use these elements now to kind of describe the physical world in which the Haven exists. Now it's collective storytelling, right? So we kind of get to brainstorm about the setting together. And, again, it recommends you spend a few minutes describing how each element or how they might actually combine together will define the world and the Haven. So make sure to use all three elements. Don't talk about the culture yet, because we can do that in the next step. So your goal is to have this short, clear description of what the Haven looks like, something you'd be able to summarize in a few sentences. So volcanic, does that mean that the Haven exists on or near a volcano? And the energy is used the volcanic energy is harnessed to power the factories that make all the automated robots?
That's what I was sort of thinking about. Maybe it's the cities are growing up around volcanic active areas because of the sun's sort of been blocked out because of all of the smoke and everything from the volcanic activity, so you can't get solar power anymore, so they're using the heat from the earth for the factories.
That's cool.
So the cities, modern cities, I guess we could say, skyscraper-like, tall. Of course, volcanic, maybe they don't want to make things really tall.
But maybe it's the people that live on the top floors. They're above most of the smoke, so they can actually see the world. So that's where the uber rich live. And everybody down on the ground is like the poorer, lower class.
The cooler it gets, the higher you get, more you're able to breathe, and you have to wear protective things when you're down on the surface because of the high temperatures.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Okay. And then gravity.
So I'm picturing the very bottom level of the Haven. It's just lava. There's no ground. The structures rise right up out of the lava.
Okay.
And that's the very, very low. So yeah, maybe
the floor is lava.
The floor is lava. That's it. So as the buildings, the buildings, the inhabitants only start 200-300 feet above the actual ground because, again, you say at the heat, and obviously there's walkways or ways to travel.
Gravity suits, or some way you can fly from one building area to another with some kind of something to do with anti-gravity.
Yeah, I like that because we do need to tie in gravity. So is it more of is it something that is or can be personalized, or is it got to be more like shuttles that can defy gravity? Essentially it's like hover vehicles, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Or would it be the robots? The robots that people use to do stuff for them, like clean their windows on their skyscrapers, have anti-gravity so that they can do that.
Well, yeah, everybody's sort of isolationist, right? Because they're all in these different pillared buildings that are at the bottom's all lava. So therefore, being able to go from one place to another is not going to be something that you would do unless you have to.
Well, I think playing into automation building the Haven, they've made it so you don't have to. And that's exactly right. It is you don't have to go anywhere. You can have anything air delivered with an anti-gravity robot drone right to your window, right? Or right to your door. You don't have to leave your building. So are these buildings, are they strictly habitation, or are they communities in huge, tall, long buildings?
I think they're more like communities. There would be people on the bottom floor working. People in the middle would be your grocery, where you do all your shopping. And then living would be the next few tiers up. So, the closer you are to the shopping area is the poorer people. And then the rich people, or the highest area.
I like that.
Each building has elevators for different classes of people. They only go up so high, and then other classes of people have different levels. So the top tier never goes down to the bottom. They send something to fetch what they need. So the riffraff can't get from the bottom up to the top in any way. They don't have access.
I mean, and like from the top down, it's like everything can be automated. So like recycling is automated. So there's robots collecting, like there's not a speck of dirt or trash anywhere because everything is constantly getting cleaned and or collected. But like on lower tiers of these buildings, materials being used and purchased and circulated around there is like recycled crap from above. So that's also kind of like like the shit's rolling downhill, but the shit is being turned into something useful. Until eventually you get down to the lava where it's no longer useful. Its usefulness has been petered out, and now it just can be burned. Like it just can discard it into the liquid hot magma, and it's gone.
I think that's it for that, right? We defined the setting.
That is it for that. So essentially, we have blotted out sun, buildings that reach up through the smoke and the smog due to the volcanic activity that essentially the Haven runs on this energy source. Completely automated aspects of every life. There's an automated process for everything you could think of, which would mean nobody actually has to go to work, right?
Right.
Which means you literally never have to leave your domicile. Those levels of grocery stores, it's actually just robots picking food from aisles, right? Like,
yeah, it's just food storage.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like warehouses.
Yeah, animals are all lined up and grown, or maybe not even animals. It's just meat that gets grown or printed.
Yeah. Yes.
Chicken breasts are just being printed. Yeah, totally.
And it's all soybean. It's just in the shape of different things.
Everything tastes like chicken.
It's all Soylent Green.
No, in this world, nothing tastes like chicken. Chicken is it's the thing everybody would love to have. It's like the caviar. Nothing tastes like chicken.
Chicken has been extinct for centuries, and nobody can remember exactly what it tastes like. So that's why nobody knows how to replicate it.
That's right.
So if nobody's working, then the lower levels wouldn't be work. It would be more like that's where the robots are housed and fix each other.
Yeah, I mean, do we want zero human oversight for the automation? Or is that going to let's talk about that when we get into the traditions. I think that's what the traditions are meant for once we really start fleshing some of that stuff out. So let's get into that right now. So again, the Haven was built with this flaw at the center, and the flaw reveals itself in our culture through traditions. Traditions are the customs, beliefs, and practices that show how the flaw manifests itself in the society. They are something we do or we believe. Traditions can describe how we interact within the Haven, or even how we interact with groups or forces outside of the Haven. So we're gonna create 6 traditions that kind of embody this flaw and show how the culture of our society and during play will watch as these traditions are going to be ultimately corrupted by the flaw. And when we get into kind of the structure of play, that's the first thing that kicks off a round of play, is how one of these traditions is being corrupted by the flaw. Again, if you're in person, everyone's going to get an index card for these traditions. Unlike kind of picking the elements secretively, this we do a little more collaboratively. Or we don't. I guess we're each going to pick 2 traditions. So again, it gives kind of, we don't want to choose the same category as another player, so we'll discuss it in that way, but it gives a number of examples, again, like architecture, art, birth, communication, fashion, food, government, some of which we kind of touched on, which is, I think, why it specifically says, don't worry about the nitty gritty, because you're going to eventually describe some of that stuff.
So why don't we hit the first one and just say food, because we already sort of talked about how food is, and food being a processed thing, not from real animals or even from plant life, but some sort of a genetically modified goop that can be printed in any form and any taste added to it.
Yeah, it's like an edible filament in a 3D printer, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so then let's make that. Okay, well, how about that would just be your first tradition, John? So on your index card, you would put it in the top right corner. You just write food.
Okay.
You kind of already did. The second part is the way this tradition is reflected by and with the flaw is kind of the automated process of it, right? Like it's just this substance that the machines are just printing out steaks and printing out chicken breasts and drumsticks or chicken nuggets or whatever, right?
Yes, I'll say the people have grown accustomed to food on demand at whatever taste that they want, completely forgetting or not even having a memory of what real food is. Right? They just have this that for however long the society's been around, just food is on demand, and people just, if you want to eat processed or whatever you call it, chicken nuggets all the time, you can make chicken nuggets taste like whatever you want. So people have just become accustomed to this. So if anything was to happen with the food processing in some other way, it would be devastating to the society, right?
Right.
They don't even know anything other than printing food.
We'll just run through the whole tradition creation process. So next we just create a symbol for our traditions. So here's where you would pass in person. You would pass your index to the left, and then you would let someone else come up with whatever the symbol of this tradition might be. The symbol can be an object, tools, icons. I mean, it could literally be, well, I don't know. Let's decide who's to John's left between the three of us. Let's just get a rotation.
You're to my left.
That narrows it down. You.
He was last talking, so Leland is to my left. Left, Leland.
Okay, then I'm going to make the symbol for this tradition literally just be a drumstick. That's it. I just picture you when you order the food, you hit the little drumstick icon, and that's when your drill down menu of what you're gonna have printed for you and delivered kind of thing.
And people don't even know what that drumstick is anymore.
Exactly.
It's just a symbol. It's an icon.
I was thinking a dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget.
Well, too bad you're not the one to the left of John.
Yeah.
You're just jealous because mine was better.
I'm going to cut this all out.
Is Leland also to the left of Emily?
Okay, Emily, why don't you go ahead and make a tradition?
I was thinking death. And the tradition would be that when someone dies, they harvest what they can from them. And so far as the things that they have, assuming they don't have a next of kin, or the next kin would take whatever items they can from them, and everything else, anything that's not usable, gets dumped in the lava, including them.
Are sent to the lower classes?
Right, anything that's useful, anything that's useful gets taken by the family first and then sent down the chain. Ultimately, though, the person that has died, they have a ceremony and they get basically chucked out a window.
So could you have like an elevator that when people die, you put this stuff in the elevator and it continually goes down, and then people have an opportunity to grab stuff off of it as it goes down through their levels? So it's like scavenging from the dead.
Yeah. And then they'll have every building will have a doorway, which is where the person gets removed. The ultimate exit.
Okay, so what's your kind of TLDR for your description of this tradition? Essentially zero wastage, right?
Yeah, zero wastage, belongings scavenged, passed to lower levels, and the person goes out the death hole.
Now, when you say zero scavenge, you also mean body parts, like they're taking organs are harvested, like that kind of level on the death elevator. So if you really need a kidney, you're waiting with your knife when you hear the death announcement.
No, there's two separate things. So you got the death elevator is all the stuff that goes down the levels and people grab it. The actual person, they have a ceremony, and there is one door in each building that is basically, if you think like a spaceship, and they put them on a thing and they shoot them out into space. They're just shooting them out into the lava. So everybody goes down to the lower level and they shoot them out the door and they go whoo, pew, into the lava.
What do you think of that tradition being like the singular thing that is equal between all levels of the building? Everybody adheres to this tradition, regardless of where you live in the building. Your corpse goes through the death door into the lava, and your belongings are redistributed as whatever the lower levels see fit.
And it's the one thing that binds them all together, whatever level of prosperity they have. They all go out this death door.
Mm-hmm.
But all the important, like on the stuff, of course, it starts from top to bottom, right? So wherever you are on the level, you're only going to get crap from that level or lower. And usually anything good, they're going to grab at the very beginning. So whatever gets down to the bottom is usually just the riffraff, the last, not really of any value at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the wealthy always keep the wealthy stuff.
Of course. Well, I imagine like as it's at the level that it starts, like nobody probably needs to grab anything, right? So it's really like the level below is almost where it starts, because like those are the people that will have less just as a result of where they are in the building. All right, John, you get to make the symbol for this tradition.
How about a line, a horizontal line, a vertical line, and then an arrow at the bottom, like an arrow pointing downward.
Okay, so it's essentially a capitalized T with an arrow on the bottom of it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I like that. All right, I'm going to pick hospitality. Now, I'm thinking with hospitality, it is something that is incredibly rare, as we kind of stated, right, as we were describing the Haven, because there's no need to go anywhere. If you need to, everything is so secluded, and every person, and I suppose every family would be secluded, right? Anybody within a specific dwelling is just so secluded from everyone else that, like, if you were to show up at somebody else's door, it would be for a very important reason. And I think because of that, the person being visited is obligated to lavish the visitor with anything that they have. It's obviously going to be dependent on the level in which they live, but could you imagine if you got visited by somebody above the smog and you lived under the smog? You have to adorn them with anything and offer them everything you have, essentially, like almost like breaking yourself, like you're driving yourself to the poorhouse by what you are offering, regardless of what you have to offer. And now I think the way that could play into the flaw is that if you do show up and you don't have a good reason, like it's kind of, I don't even know how would you shun somebody like that, or would it be like some like a reputation of like this person, even if your home is visited upon and they have no reason to be there, you're still obligated to give them all this stuff. So essentially they've come down there to try to game the system, get your shit.
Yeah.
Especially if we already said you can't go higher than what your elevator says, right? So you can only ever go down. You can only ever go down and take from somebody that has less than you. So there has to be a reason.
You're looked on as somebody who's taking advantage of the less fortunate.
Maybe something like that can get you moved down a level in the building.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Taking somebody's hospitality in without good cause could be grounds for, what do you want to call it?
Punishment?
No, like your classification reduction.
It's almost like it's like a demotion, but they're not really jobs, so you're not getting demoted.
Right.
But you're getting reclassified, perhaps.
Could it work the other way? Is there any way to move up?
That's a good question. That might play into another tradition,
Not according to not according to
hospitality.
The ramifications.
Yeah, this is just hospitality. So basically, the one line for hospitality is you are obligated to offer everything that you possibly can should you get an in-person visitor. And that might even be like extended lodging kind of thing, like it could be anything that the visitor may come to you to ask for, right? Like there's just like this intense obligation you never want to hear a knock on your door, right? Because of that. That's also the other thing, right? And I think that also perpetuates the automation and the flaw because you don't want to visit. Like, you don't want a visitor. You don't really want to be the visitor, right? You don't want a reason to have to visit anybody.
Right. Everything gets sent through the automation, the robots or whatever. But if somebody, and that just gets like put through a slot or something. If
Right.
somebody actually knocks,
Exactly.
then everybody, oh shit.
The robot just comes through the robot doggy door. That's fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as someone rings your bell, oh boy. So I believe that Emily, you get to make the symbol, right?
Yep, a gift box. A box with a ribbon around it and a bow on top.
I like it. All right, so 3 more traditions to go. We each get to make one more.
Well, I'm tempted to go religion just because you could really go different places with that. But I'm going to go education. And I think what I want to do with that is nobody goes to school. Nobody has any kind of trade. There's no reason for any of that anymore. So education is downloaded cybernetically or whatever as required. So if you don't have a need to know something, you don't have access to get that information. So you only know what you need to know.
Okay.
Whoa, I know Kung Fu. Sorry, had to do it.
Well, not like the idea is not that you can just immediately learn anything that you want to. You could say, I think I have a need to know this, and whatever the powers of the educational overlords or whatever would say, you have no need for that, or denied.
So it would be on your computer, so you would be able to get access to that information.
I envision you have some kind of thing like on your head that you
An implant.
Implants, yeah, educational implant. Educational implant with limited accesses. So you don't inherently know things, right? Because you were never really educated. You know language and things like that, but you wouldn't know how to necessarily plug in your VCR if you have no reason to. You wouldn't even know what the purpose of that would be.
Right, because a robot would have done it for you before you even moved in. It all would have been connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to watch something, and then the magic happens. You have no concept of just how it happens.
Right.
But you don't need to because it's all automated.
No, exactly. The people that implemented the systems did have a need. Now you, the person benefiting from those systems, don't need as long as they continue to work. And the minute someone has to try to fix something, if a robot can't do it, then someone has to learn to do it and then go and fix it, which could also stall problems getting fixed because someone has to learn how to fix the problem first, then they can go fix it, right? Like that could be like months of education that they need to fix like an automated system, right? Like
it's like dealing with elderly parents.
Yeah, but you definitely don't. You wish you couldn't restrict their knowledge. Okay, I'm going to make the symbol for this it's obviously antiquated, but it's going to be like a rolled up diploma or like a scroll with maybe with a little ribbon on it. But like the meaning of it, who needs paper? They don't need paper. So the symbol itself comes with a level of education to even understand what the symbol is. All right, Emily.
Oh, love is a good one. Since nobody ever leaves their place, you don't date, you have like a dating service. So when you become of age, you sign up and you get matched with someone.
So essentially, it's like everything is prearranged. Your relationship, your marriages, is all prearranged.
Yeah, there's no dating. You just get a match, and that's it. And if you make it work,
Or you walk through the death door, I guess.
or they do.
Or you shove them through. So is this just based off of some like ridiculous list of criteria, or like do you take a questionnaire?
I think you would fill in a questionnaire, likes, dislikes, walking on the beach, that kind of thing. Yeah, you don't even get to see a picture of the person until you marry them. You meet on your wedding day.
Do they cohabitate once they're married?
Yes.
I mean, that's also another way that the class system is perpetuated, right? Because you're never going to get paired with somebody above your class.
Exactly.
And I would think if that happened, that would be a problem. Like that would be a glitch or something, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, what do we do with Frank on level 83 when he's hooked up with Sally on 84?
I mean, I would also think like these matches is again, I mean, it's just like normal life when you're combining two lives, you're combining kind of the wealth of and the belongings of two people, right? So in a society like this where you are literally scavenging the dead's belongings as it's going down this elevator, grabbing whatever you can as quickly as you can, like that's a huge incentive to go with whatever match you have. And it's always going to be somebody that's kind of ballpark your level in this class system, which is also why nobody from a higher class would ever want to be matched with the lower class, because that's a step down. But obviously punching up for the lower class is great.
Right.
Maybe who you're matched with is determined by AI.
Absolutely.
Based on your actions.
Yeah, well, no, the questionnaire you fill in, then the AI figures out who best matches your questionnaire. So everybody's filling out a questionnaire.
So that is a good way to move up or down.
No, because you're still restricted within your section of the building.
I think the idea is the system's probably rigged. But here's the thing, like, so we're also delving kind of as we're discussing these and creating them. I think we're getting into like what we'll see during play is some of these negative things is how these traditions can be corrupted by the flaw, which is when we're setting up scenes is basically what we're going to be role playing through. So I think a lot of what we're discussing now, we're going to be able to take into those and like see what happens with those ideas.
Right. I like it.
So just to circle back, the AI is taking your questionnaires and matching you with people, but people within your own class. So they're like, everybody has a label on them already from birth. So like if you're C level, you are going to be matched with a C level person. But like it's AI doing it. Nobody is actually looking at any of it. No person is looking at any of it.
What's the symbol for this, John?
I don't want to go with a heart because it just seems too
obvious.
I mean, is it obvious when you have zero education unless you need to know how to fix your toaster because a robot wasn't available to do it? Then you get to download the toaster manual.
How about two links in a chain together?
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that's connection, but it takes sort of the idea of the feeling out of it. Because I didn't put a ball on the end of it, but
you may as well have. Let gravity take you both right through that death door.
That's right.
And gravity does work back to the scavenge elevator too.
Yeah. Okay. Final tradition. What can we go with? I mean, we got a lot of good stuff. I feel like almost like some of these things maybe like do we need to define like have a tradition involving government or military? Like
what about art? Since it's like everything's automated, you have AI art, but then you have people that are rebelling against that and making their own art and trying to reclaim that.
This is Leland's, right?
Yes.
This is mine, yeah. Again, like the rebellious aspect of it can play into other, like when we create the hero, which we're going to do next. So defining that rebellion within, like, then that would mean it's tradition to rebel against AI art, which it definitely could be, but I don't know if that makes a ton of sense.
I mean, you have justice, like you were like hinting at before with the hospitality.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, actually. Okay, let's do justice. So I think of, again, playing into automation, I think of justice as being very binary. Either you're reclassified or you're put through the death door. So maybe your offense, lesser offenses would result in you being moved down a level in your community. Again, there's no way to go up, right? You can only ever really go down. If it's very serious, you're just put to death. Like, it's very simple.
Okay.
And obviously, there is no, jurors of your peers or a judge that oversees any cases. It's simply you get an email saying, giving you your sentence, right? Like you're notified that you are charged with this, this, and this. It goes through whatever AI system decides and assesses whatever facts that whatever. I mean, is the like police force, are they a robot? Like, is there even really a police force to speak of, right? Like,
I think you just have robots show up and they take you to your death door or down to your next habitation cell. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, like you said, very binary. So it's there's no emotion to it. It's Mr. Steele, you pack up what few belongings you can in this box and you'll be taken to level 63. Your spouse has to go with you. Or be thrown through the death door.
I mean, hey, that is an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, are we rolling? I mean, we're rolling kind of we rolled marriage into love, right? Like, what would be the maybe that's also more things we explore while we role play. What the consequences of your significant other being sentenced to something would be for their partner. Who makes the symbol? Emily does, right?
Me, and it's a little trite, but I think with it being binary, it has to be scales. Central stand with 2 weights on either side, 2 plates on either side that are evenly balanced at the time.
In our haven, justice is not blind, it's binary. Okay, now we simply name our haven.
One does not simply name their haven.
Well, we have to. It will sound as if we simply named it due to the edit. Are there other havens that are like ours? Is this place fairly unique? I mean, I'm thinking like if there are many places like us, being as efficient and automated, it would just have like a serial number.
Yeah.
We're like 100893, right? Like that's our haven.
Yeah.
So we're in a building, in a group of buildings, and there are other groups of buildings. So like the buildings in our group would all have the same start, and then our building would have its own unique at the end.
Right.
Well, 6732 or something like that.
Yeah.
Your 3-letter designation is maybe VOL being volcanic, or there's other societies in different places in the world, but this is the way this one works, or do you mean everybody? It's a volcanic world.
So, yeah, volcanic world.
It's all different volcanic cities.
Mm-hmm.
Geoscope 5, cluster 6.
All right, I like
it. Okay. Let me write that down someplace.
So that goes on the cue card with the flaw and the elements that we wrote underneath it. That goes above the main flaw. Okay, that is the haven defined. Last thing we do is define our characters. So again, there's the 3 characters: the hero, the fallen, and the pillar, which is the protagonist, antagonist, and more of a kind of a neutral stance on the world and the plot in general. And the hero is at the center. So the hero has to be in every single scene that we develop and that we roleplay. The fallen and the pillar don't necessarily need to be in any or many of them, or however it plays out, right? As we play, the structure is going to be the pillar. The player that is taking the pillar role will get to choose a tradition that is corrupted, and then the hero will set a scene. The fallen player sets a scene, and then we kind of have a reflection period, and at which point we'll rotate roles. So again, we each get to play as the hero at least once, and of course, the same goes for the other roles, just because it's a circle, it rotates. But before that even happens, we get to make the hero. So again,
we give them a name.
It's collaborative. So yeah, we will give them a name eventually, but what we do first is we give them an occupation. So we choose a tradition, and we give the hero a position or role. Again, occupation can be, less defined, especially in our world. It's not really going to be a job, right? But they'll have something to do with one of our traditions.
All right. So how about like he could be they could be when the AI makes a determination and it's contested in some way, it goes, well, I'm trying to think of a reason why there would be a human that had to make a decision because it wasn't already made by something automatic.
I mean, they don't have to be in a position to make a decision. They could literally just be a cog in whatever automated wheel that there is. I mean, it could be something literally as mundane as pushing the button for the belonging elevator once the robots have loaded it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, yeah, I know everything is automated, but it can be anything.
What if they oversee the education department? Most of the time, everything would go automated through AI, but occasionally they'll just look over things to see the requests and like oversight of the system. Occasionally they'll pull a request and see what the AI decided and if they agree with it or not. And that's what they do. They occasionally just look at what the AI has decided.
How about it? He determines when that person doesn't need to have that information, that knowledge anymore. It needs to be removed. Right? You learn something because you need it.
We backed ourselves into a corner here with the whole AI and no job thing.
Well, I mean, potentially we did, but I like the idea that like there's still these systems will break down. So there has to be somebody that knows how to get them back up and running, right? Like inevitably,
Okay.
it cannot 100% be automated. Nothing really truly can, right? There has to be some type of oversight.
I like them being in the Justice Department oversight person better, because then they could see that people are being unjustly accused and terminated. So that could be their cause to be heroic.
That brings up a whole non-binary
But
thing.
maybe it's literally his job is literally just to keep track of the number of death door uses due to the justice. Like it's literally something like all he's literally doing is what a computer would do, but occasionally he's got to move a tally somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like something just because I think everything is going to be pretty benign as far as how much effect they have.
Yeah.
He's an approver of things, but he actually does nothing, right? He approves things, but there's no real approval cycle. He believes he's doing something.
Okay, so then in that scenario, the system is telling him approve this, and he's saying I approve. He's pushing a button that says approve. That's it. So he's being dictated what to approve.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a meaningless task given to people who need a task.
Okay.
So they tell him what to do and he does it. I don't know. What would you call that? A
Management.
system oversight manager.
Okay, but so it needs to be tied specifically to one of these traditions. So is that in the justice system? What do you think would be the most important of these traditions to have a human oversight?
Justice.
Love.
Justice, because you're actually killing somebody, potentially. I mean, love, you matching two people up, you're potentially changing their lives, but maybe not. If you're actually killing somebody, that is definitely changing their life or knocking them down a level.
But if the real purpose of the love tradition is to concrete and facilitate the class system, then that would be more important to the people at the top of the class system wanting to be the only people at the top of the class system. So having somebody that does oversee it and make sure that through this matchmaking system and this combination of wealth, it's not even possible for somebody to move up in the class system.
So the class system is more important than if somebody is wrongly accused and killed.
Yes.
Okay.
So the people at the top, right?
Yeah.
So you want to give them a title?
System Oversight Manager of Love.
Okay, system oversight.
Well, that love seems too feely. How about pairing?
System oversight manager of pairing.
System pairing oversight manager.
So he's a sum up.
There you go.
Or a SPOM. If you go System Pairing Oversight Manager, he's a SPOM.
I like it. So basically, the hero is used to reinforce the class system.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's good because that brings us to the second thing that we use to when we create the hero is we pick the rebellion. So we choose a tradition that the hero disagrees with and explain why they oppose it. It can be a different tradition from their occupation, but it certainly can be the same one.
So being this guy, he can go, I mean, obviously you can travel between levels, right?
I mean, you have to think that a Spom would be either living at the top or, like you say, one of the very few people that has access. And I'm thinking in every one of these traditions, there would be an equivalent of our hero, right? For every tradition.
Right, yeah. I don't think they live at the top. They're not the top people, but they're definitely not the bottom. They're like second level down. But yeah, they can travel the entire building.
So they're high enough in the smog level that sometimes they get a ray of light that they can see through it, but they're still in the smog level, right?
Right.
They're high enough that they don't have that great of an ambition to get higher. They're comfortable where they are, so that they're not going to try and go higher, but then they still have the fear of going lower.
So do they rebel against their own position?
I think he's been traveling between these different levels and has come to find out the AI is matching up people, that there's better ways to do this matching than what AI is doing, and only keeping, it's almost like inbreeding at a certain level of people. And
yeah,
without getting into too much of what we could set up as scenes.
Okay, yeah. So that can be more like how the flaw corrupts that tradition. But perhaps the hero simply believes that people should be able to choose their own partner. It could just literally just be something as simple as that.
Sounds good to me.
Because he himself, the hero themselves, is in love with somebody.
Well, that's why I didn't want to say that, because could be a scene.
No, I like it. I think that's good. Now, is our hero already matched and married? And they are in love with someone else?
No.
Yes.
No. No, they're not. Well, we did say when they come of age, they get matched. So somebody that's doing this job will have come of age.
Yeah, I think he has to have the experience of being in a AI matched situation to nobody really understands love, because it's just a process which you are matched up. So if you're lucky enough to be with somebody that you have a relationship with, but most people don't have any expectation of that.
So yeah, they're not in a loveless relationship. They are friends, but they're not in love. Like, they don't hate each other, but they don't love each other.
Well, I mean, I think that's also, again, because of automation, the lack of actual human content that goes on day to day. Like, they're one of the few people that are in a position where they do still very occasionally, but they do still actually interact with people outside of their household.
Yeah.
And like John was saying, the rest of the population, like our pillar, is not going to have any idea. Perhaps when we get there, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, maybe the pillar is the person that the hero loves. We don't know.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So now we simply just give them an identity. We kind of describe them, what do they look like, and we give them a name. So
is our hero male or female? I've been kind of thinking male this whole time.
Fine with me.
Cosmo?
No. I like Cosmo.
No.
All right, Cosmo.
No.
I'm digging that. What?
I like Cosmo.
Cosmo Kramer?
Yeah, no, it's Cosmo not. Cosmo not.
Only if we spell it with a C.
That's the way it's spelled. So.
That's how I spelled it.
Okay.
But Cosmo not, as in like not. Naught.
Naught.
Mr. Not. Spom Not. He's Spom Not. That's how he gets addressed.
So what does he look like?
Is part of this society, like, is pretty much everybody going to be like overweight? Just simply because they don't have to do really anything for themselves?
Well, he is traveling up and down. He's the only person getting any exercise.
But he's elevating, not staring.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think, just naturally, there are people that are thin. So I would say probably the majority of people are on the bigger side, but not everybody is.
Okay, so does Cosmo fall into the majority?
I was thinking John Hamm.
All right.
But what? Okay.
Just because I generally do, but...
Okay,
right.
So
looks like
describe
John
yourself
Hamm.
and what you look like. John Hamm.
Yep.
All right, that's all I'm going to write down. That's all I need.
Easy. All right, done.
Apparently, that's all you need, too.
That's all I need.
All you want's a little ham.
So now we have to keep in mind the hero wants to save the haven. When we play the hero, they want to recognize and fix the problems growing inside the haven as it collapses. They're going to fight in earnest despite their inevitable failure, because they will fail. This is an apocalypse that we are role-playing, essentially.
So the rebellion, in this sense, is that he feels like if they don't do this, then society will crumble. So basically, if I'm reading what you said correctly,
well, I think it's more like, as we're going to be laying out the scenes and basically establishing what and how things are getting corrupted, the hero is going to come to realize, okay, this has to be fixed. Whereas like a player like the Pillar, they're going to be like, it's going to fix itself. The robots will do it. Don't worry about it. It's how it was supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
All right. Now, the Fallen. Similarly to how we'll build the Pillar, first thing we do is we choose a relationship to the hero. So what's going to be the connection between the Fallen and the hero? It can be, family or friends. Perhaps the Fallen is another SPOM, the head of something, right? Another manager, maybe.
Yeah, I like that. Like one of them that maybe handles death or food, something.
Let's do food because like everything's fine with the food person. They don't see any problem. There's no reason to change anything. Everything works.
Okay, so these SPOMs.
Well, he wouldn't be a SPOM.
He's a system pairing oversight manager. So what would he be?
Well, he's a SFOM, a systems food oversight manager. Or something.
Well, it wouldn't be food. What's
a systems produce. He's still a SPOM. He's a systems produce oversight manager.
There we go.
There you go. You're going to have somebody who does acronyms that only come out with SPOM.
Well, see,
that's their job.
That's the problem with the robot that is making the acronyms, only knows 4 letters.
Well, Justice would be System Punishment Oversight Manager.
Exactly. See, it's going to work now. Don't try to define any other ones. Just trust us that it works. The automation works. SPOM works for everything. So essentially, the Fallen is a coworker then of the hero.
Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, they're going to be like an equal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you, or are the heads of the traditions even in this part of this class system? Like, is there a system within the system of the overseers?
I think like there's a level, like you were saying, where all the SPOMs are, and that's where they exist.
That's where they all habitate.
That's why they get the job, because they get promoted in their class. So they were like a second class, maybe third class citizen, but in order, as a reward for becoming a SPOM, they get moved up to this second class that's still not the high level, but it's higher.
Or demoted to a SPOM.
Nobody in the top tier would become a SPOM.
That not by choice.
Oh, okay, yes, I see what you're saying.
I mean, if they're a victim of the justice system, they may. Yeah. Was our Fallen demoted? Was he reclassified down to a SPOM?
No, because he's trying to maintain the system, so he would be mad about being demoted. So maybe he was promoted
somehow.
Yeah, he was promoted from third class up to a SPOM level.
Okay, I like it. Okay, so then we made the relationship to the hero, and we made his occupation. We kind of did those at the same time.
We're efficient like that.
And then again, we just make his identity. We kind of make a name for them.
I think he needs to be horrifically ugly, which is why he really likes the way the love system's set up.
What's the I think he plays I think he plays Mexican characters, and he has the long hair, and he's an older gentleman, and he is kind of ugly.
So he's older?
Yeah.
Grizzled looking?
Yes. Machete. Danny Trejo.
Okay. He's very hard looking. I mean, if he was very low and has been promoted a number of levels, he would have been down where it's like the hottest, the harshest, right? Down on the lower sections of the building.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like he's been cooked.
Yes, yes.
So what is their name?
Normal names.
Let's call him Chicky.
Chicky?
Yeah, Chicky Filet.
All right, that's easy to remember. Or fillet.
Yeah,
Fillet.
Chicky Fillet. Two T's. Yeah. All right, so when you play the Fall, and your role is to challenge and oppose the hero while advocating for the flaw. So I think the significant promotion really makes sense, right? Like, the automation is doing exactly what it should be. I'm where I should be, kind of thing, right? I'm Chicky Filet. So while we as players know the flaw is going to destroy us, the Fallen might honestly believe that it won't. Or we might decide that they're kind of fully aware of the danger, but have other reasons for going against the hero, which they might come out in RP. We might figure that out as we're building scenes, right? Because obviously we're still going to build the narrative, and it's going to be constantly changing by these scenes that we're going to be playing. All right. Lastly, we make the Pillar. So we also give them a relationship to the hero.
How about his
love interest?
spouse? Yeah, either one. See, the love interest would probably be falling more on his side. The wife might be in the same mindset that he has in somewhat, but still doesn't want to go through the ramifications of trying to rebel.
Well, because she enjoys her status as being Spawn level because of him. And if things change, she would be probably demoted.
How quickly do people get rematched if their significant other dies or is sentenced to death? They get rematched immediately?
I would think it would be as soon as somebody's available, because if everybody's matching when they become of age, it might take some time to find another match.
But since it's such an isolated society, you don't want to be without another person for too long, because that could be
Lonely.
That could be bad.
Yeah.
Trying to rectify that issue if somebody's spouse dies is high on the priority list of AI.
But you know that there are people that have gone years without a spouse, without a partner, just because of availability. And there's probably some people that turn down, like they don't. I'm thinking like there's somebody in this building who's like that crazy old person and didn't report that their spouse passed, or somehow slipped through the cracks and they've been alone for years.
Or they killed them and they just didn't tell them they were dead.
Yeah, or just doing a little touch insane from the isolation.
Yeah, I mean, if you killed them and then put them under your bed,
if that may play in, that might be like a secondary character in one of these scenes potentially. So the Pillar is going to be Cosmo's wife.
Yes.
yes.
We also give them an occupation. Again, we've kind of like the flaw is like really narrowing our.
Can she just not have an occupation? She's just home all the time.
Well, I think they need some type of connection to a tradition, because remember, every tradition is going to be, or not every. Sorry, apologies. Not every tradition is going to be corrupted, but potentially everyone can be. So I think that is how, like, you're making connections. If you choose the tradition to be corrupted that she's part of, then that's going to kind of probably play into the scenes that we're going to be role playing through. So I think she needs some tie.
Every SPOM spouse, to be able to live and stay on that level, you have to do something. So all SPOM spouses, male or female, have another task that they perform for the SPOMs, or in support of that role. I don't know what that'd be, but that way there's a reason why they're at the level that they're at, not just for marriage. They're assigned because they're good at something.
So SPOMs can only marry SPOMs?
That's up to the AI to determine.
That's right. That's true. Yeah, it's hard because anything I come up with is a task that could be very easily automated.
What if she is the only person that can do the hospitality. Like, she's the only one that can go to other people's places. And she is checking in on the statuses of the marriages or something.
Oh, like you said, anytime somebody comes over, you have to treat them with hospitality. Well, AI or robots wouldn't understand hospitality, so they have people that go and see if they're actually being hospitable.
Yeah.
And report them if they're not.
Literally, it's a random apartment number is generated for this pillar to go and accept hospitality from.
Yeah.
Again, part of the corruption for that tradition could easily be it being manipulated in some way to purposely try to, like, you know, quote unquote, bankrupt the people that are beholden to the hospitality.
So she's a system party oversight manager?
All right. I mean, her role as a spawn could also have impacted, like, how Cosmo and her got paired up too by the system, right? Like, they could potentially have a relatively new relationship, maybe, depending on deaths, I suppose. And okay, great. Then we just give her again an identity.
What does she look like? Who's a actress that's sort of got that girl next door look?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I like it. All right, what's her name?
Sophia.
F or PH?
Oh, PH.
Oh, of course. Oh, what a stupid question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So I guess it's Sophia not, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
When we play the pillar, the pillar resists change. They apologize for or ignore the harm caused by the flaw. The pillar's role is to complicate and support the hero while upholding the flaw. So I guess it's obviously it's a little different. It's different than the fallen. Again, I think they're supposed to be more of a neutral. They never they don't act against the hero. Really, they're acting in favor of the flaw. Whereas I think the fallen specifically wants to go against the hero. And then it says, you know, the book says not to worry about giving the pillar a connection to the fallen because the connections are to the hero. That's what's going to drive everything forward. And that is the Haven. I don't know. Do we want to do a quick recap of everything?
Probably, yeah.
Our Haven. We live in Geoscape 5, Cluster 6. Our flaw is automation, elements being volcanic, modern, and gravity, which we live in this kind of geothermal, volcanic activity powered city of huge, tall, multiple buildings that serve as individual communities with a tiered class system going up, the top of the system being above the smog and the ash created by all the volcanic activity, and of course everyone else below. A number of traditions that kind of factor into the lava being the base of this city and the class system itself being food, always on demand, simply push a button to get a 3D printed version of whatever taste and size and variety of which you decide. Death, when someone dies, their belongings are put down this elevator that is essentially scavenged by the levels below. Recycling maybe is how it's put to by the AI, right? Nothing goes to waste, right? Everything can either be cycled or ultimately it ends up burning in the lava. The body itself, it too is harvested, right, of anything that's useful, and via a ceremony that every level, anybody from all class systems adhere to, put through the death door in each of these communities. That's like the one thing that ties everybody together, right? Death comes for everyone. The door opens for all. The corpse, of course, expelled through it to again burn up and be sent back to the lava and the ash. Hospitality as a factor of automation in our haven. Visitors are very, very rare. There's really no need to. So they're an occasion to be celebrated. If a visitor comes upon you, you must lavish them with gifts and food and drink. And if they want to stay for a week and a half, you got to let them, kind of thing. You are beholden to be the best host that you possibly can be. The education system, a need-to-know basis, essentially. Most things are automated. Anything that needs to be fixed, if a robot can't do it and you need to do it yourself, you'd be cleared to be able to learn the information to do it. And of course, you do that through your cerebral link. What do we call it? We called it your educational implant. Love, prearranged matches made via a questionnaire. Once you've come of age, you fill this out and you are assigned a match. And finally, justice, very binary system. There is no judge, there is no jury. It's made by put the facts into the computer and you are either reclassified, demoted down in this class system, physically in the building, or you're sentenced to death and you go through the door. Our hero, Cosmonaut, is the system pairing oversight manager, leads the love tradition. We've decided that he believes that people should be able to choose their own partner, does not like the occupation he's in, really doesn't believe in it. He looks like John Hamm. Our Fallen is a coworker to Cosmo. They are the systems produce oversight manager. They're head of the food and making sure the edible filament is always in the 3D printed machines that generate the food. And they've been promoted up like many levels through. They are a fan of the automation. They believe they're where they need to be, and they will do everything they can to uphold the systems in place. They are a little older looking. They look like Danny Trejo, kind of grizzled looking from living down lower on the building where the conditions are harshest. They are named Chicky Fillet. Oh, apologies. And finally, the pillar. The relationship to the hero is Cosmo's wife. Her name is Sophia Knott. She is the systems party oversight manager who leads the hospitality traditions. Essentially, she's the one that, as determined randomly by a computer, goes and experiences the hospitality, makes sure that the traditions of which are upheld within our haven. She looks like Jennifer Love Hewitt. Wow. That was a goal and a half to get the setup for this game. But of course, that is the fun of it, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting too.
Geoscope 5 Cluster 6 sounds like a great place to... Well, I don't know what you do.
You don't got to do anything. You get a partner as soon as you can. I mean, it seems good. You pair up, push a button, you get whatever food you want. I mean, I'm looking forward to see what happens, how Geoscape 5 Cluster 6 ultimately fails, and we get to experience its downfall.
Yeah.
This has been a Sounds of Steel production.